Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this amazing episode of how pollution and COVID is now taking a toll on everyone's life today. I'm Dr. Rajiv Chibber. I'm Vice President with Shahjahan Medical Technologies. I have an experience of being on both the government side as well as the corporate side to look at how climate change, ambient air pollution, and critical healthcare is now linked to the entire global phenomena which we today call pollution, or which we are right now facing throughout the country. Especially if we look at the entire North India belt, today it is really engulfed with immense fog, with immense pollutants, as well as the scare of COVID which is there. I'll just take you to some statistical figures, and then I will be introducing our lovely panel today, which is a healthy mix of experts, which will indeed enlighten you today to look at how your health, your COVID problems could be really solved into. So let me just give you some figures. As you all know, India, being the second most polluted country globally, shaves off almost like 5.2 years of life expectancy of an average Indian, and most acutely hits people living in the entire Indo-Gangetic plain itself, which is largely the area which today we are going to focus on. In fact, many prominent cities in India, such as Lucknow, Delhi, Kolkata, or in fact, even if we go down south, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai, to name a few, have the highest level of pollution in the country. And people living in these cities stand to lose up to 5 to 10.3 years of life expectancy if this pollution persists. According to some online pollution monitoring tools, air pollution in Delhi was linked to the loss of around 24,000 lives. That is rupees 26230 crores, equivalent to 5.8%. Central government declaring a war on pollution, as well as many state governments, including the government of Delhi, also declaring a war on pollution, have announced many goals. But are we yet ready to achieve these goals? Looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, looking at how India is galloping. Let's see and let's deliberate. I have with us an entire panel which I would be delighted to introduce. This initiative by the International Crusaders Council, along with Elofic Industries Limited and Medways as a media partner, is presented today to bring responsible government authorities, the key stakeholders, to call for an action to tackle the frightening situation of pollution, especially the particulate pollution in the country, whether it's in our homes, whether it's in our offices, or whether it's in our ambient outside locations today. The forum would discuss the sustainable solutions, advocacy, and result-oriented actions which can possibly ensure better quality of air, making cities across India breathable, livable, and protect human health, both during and after the pandemic, and also during the times of an entire 24/7 pollution-oriented era. Let me now introduce you to our panelists. I will be first inviting Dr. Chinu Kuatra. Dr. Chinu Kuatra is a 30-year-old young panelist who has been working in the society for the last 6 years. He believes in 360-degree development programs, so have founded other projects like Roti Ghar, which feeds 10,000 plus kids every day. And since the last 3 years, through MARD, which manufacturers and distributes 5,000 eco-friendly sanitary napkins every month to less privileged ladies. Project Pathshala, which also focuses on an extracurricular activities for less privileged kids, and Home for Paws, which is a shelter home for abandoned and stray dogs. He's also a beach warrior, a climate crusaders, to clean 9 beaches in Mumbai itself every weekend since the last 2+ years. During 75 days of the lockdown during COVID, he and his team touched the hearts of 1 million lives by serving meals to 7 lakh people every day, ration to almost 8 lakh individuals. Chino also has been recognized in the Limca Book of Records, UN Environment, Earth Day Network, NDTV Swachh Hero, Thane Ratna, as well as Forbes India. Welcome, Chino, to this program. I now have the privilege.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So I now have the privilege to also introduce Dr. Nandita Palshetkar. She's the director of 9 Bloom IVF Center, professor in OBGY at DY Patil Medical College, Navi Mumbai. She's a teacher for super specialty degree FNB reproductive medicine, practicing infertility for the last 25+ years. She's the president of Amigos from 2020 to 2022, former President Foxy, former President MOGS, former President IH, Vice President ISCR, and former Chairman MSR. Welcome, ma'am, to this program.
Thank you very much, Ajit.
Yeah. I also have the privilege to have Dr. Dhruv with us. Dr. Dhruv is the senior professor and head of pulmonology and critical care medicine at PGIMS UHC Rohtak, Haryana. And fortunately, he's also the state nodal officer for COVID-19 and the president for ISCCM. I welcome you, sir, to this program. And last but not the least, I have the privilege to also have Mr. Kamlesh Kaul, who's working as Vice President Engineering at Elofic Industries Limited, who comes with 18 years of extensive experience in the field of filtration since the start of his career in different roles in India and overseas. He's been instrumental in knowledge transfer from Japan to India. He has a vast experience in R&D and has filed 21 patents at Elofic. Has conceptualized and developed various products at the first and is in the segment of field filtration. He's also established an industry academia council at Elofic Industries, under which various professors and researchers from different universities like IITs, NITs, BITs, SUSV, and ATEC-EU are working together to develop various innovative products in the field of air purification and filtration. Welcome, Dr. Kaul.
Thank you.
Yeah, now I'll take you everyone to Chinu. And Chinu, as I introduced you, a climate crusader, someone who has been working in the entire area of climate change, looking at air pollution, looking at cleaning beaches, looking at the entire policy regime, and advocate yourself. How do you see the present policies with the government of India dovetailing to look at reducing ambient air pollution, to look at even having the smart city kind of development envision really dovetail so that people can really breathe clean air, people can really get what is their rights? So I would want your comments on this.
Firstly, thank you so much. It is a great honor to be with such experienced personality. I'm still a kid in front of them with my experience and my age. Just to correct you, I'm not a doctor. I haven't got the tag yet, but I would definitely in future do my research on environment and be a doctor. Coming back to your question, I suppose the other panelists are more experienced to answer about the policies and the government intervention and everything. But I would like to share my on-ground experiences, which I have seen since last 3 years now. No doubt, since a childhood, I started in my school and colleges. I started with my environment activities in school and colleges. We made a club and everything so that we could lead environment. But environment was always about planting trees. If anyone, we also ask, what are you doing for the environment? It is all about planting trees. but there are another aspects of the environment too. So we started with the beach cleanups 3 years back. On ground experience is this, that people need to be educated. The citizens of India need to be educated. The youth need to be educated. Being an ocean cleaner, I am in the where we are always linked together because 50% of population pollution control, 50% of oxygen is coming through the ocean side. So I suppose Mumbai is saved right now, a bit saved just because of its ocean. Supposingly, if Delhi was having or North India was having ocean, so the pollution level would have been much lesser then. So, on ground experiences, this we need to be educated. The policies are there, policies were there, policies will be there also. The government has taken one of the finest initiative, which is Swachh India initiative, where they have asked people to come out and talk and do things about uh, for the environment. But now I feel it is a need to call for a medical emergency and not a photo op for the cleanups and everything, because it's high time that we need to breathe. Otherwise, we have already seen a situation where a club in Delhi came in who wanted to sell oxygen bottles. So more or less, like Bisleris, like water bottles, we need to carry our own oxygen in near future. And I personally don't want my kids to do feel that ever. So we need to come up with a solution, not solution on paper only, but solution in heart and mind, where people need to step out, do anything related to the environment, to related to control the air pollution which is happening right now.
So thanks, I mean, you actually raised a very important point that why can't people be having the right to carry quality air with them? I mean, do you think that this is an equality thing? This is something which needs to be made as an agenda so that people could be congregated to really look up to their elected bodies and tell them, look, if we are looking at Swachh Jal, why can't we look at Swachh Air? What is the problem when we ask for that? Why can't it be a policy agenda? Why can't it be a political agenda also? And where are at least, two areas where people would want to be participants in this kind of an initiative? You mentioned about the beaches, you mentioned about, only planting trees, but how many trees have really fluctuated to that level where they are going to now give out the kind of oxygen which is required? So your views on that?
I personally feel the manifesto should have the first major point is controlling air pollution and giving pure air to the public, because no doubt we are developing, we are getting into the youth. 20 by 2030 we'll be having maximum youth with us, so maximum brain will be India will be having. It is not about the population, but yes, it is all about the people's understanding. The government need to come out and talk about air pollution more. As I said earlier, also medical emergency is much needed. Last year, during November itself, I was in Delhi on 14th November for a Good Air Summit, and that was the day in 2019 which had a pathetic air quality. So imagine doing a summit on good air quality and not able to breathe in that air. So that's the challenge of us, and I suppose the government is no doubt, it is not doing that is not a point here, but the government should concentrate more on the good air quality, because it's high time we need to breathe good. At least we expect to breathe good. More than money or food, I suppose the air is the most important factor right now, because it's okay if you're not having meals for 3 hours, but it's super dangerous if you're not breathing good for 3 hours. So
Absolutely.
that's what I feel.
Well taken points, Chinu. I'll now move to Dr. Nandita. Dr. Nandita, Chinu raised a question that the need to call for a medical emergency and not a photo op. So my question to you is, when the city or when any city is on ICU because of the air which we have, because of the particulate matter, because of the kind of ambient inside air which we have, any city is on ICU, can smaller steps really be a paracetamol? So, and that too, especially when you have elderly ladies, when you have females, when you have pregnant women at home, when you have girl childs at home, when you have small kids at home, elderly people at home, how is that going to impact? What is the kind of precautions which is required, and where is the health impact going to have a more insight when you look at the kind of requirements?
Thank you, Rajiv, for inviting me here, and it's a pleasure. It was really good listening to you, Chino. We've got hope in the next young generation which is coming. I think what he brought in front was very simple, but I think it's more complex than that. You know, the air pollution, like in our science, we actually divide it into indoor and outdoor. And there are simple steps actually. So, I mean, just taking off from you before I enumerate the ways it can affect health. I think, we need advocacy. You brought about a very beautiful point where we can educate the women. You know, in our country, we still use kerosene as a fuel, though Modi ji has done his best, that we give up our subsidies so that the households can get gas for their cooking oil and all. So all these things I think are really, really important, because what happens is air pollution not only has an effect on the mother, on infertility. I'm an infertility specialist practicing for 30 years, and it has an effect on infertility once the woman is pregnant, the mother and the child. So it has really long-term, effects. If you look at infertility, they like what I had written, it's quality of the gametes, and it also causes genetic and epigenetic changes. What do you mean by epigenetic? The DNA, the methylation get affected and you get abnormal genes. So you're seeing new diseases in the progeny. So these are some of the things which are happening silently without even us realizing about it. So it acts not only on the gametes but ovarian physiology, because there is something called endocrine disruptors. They act on your whole system and they cause all these. And even the genetic, the mechanisms are multiple. The genetic mechanism is the genes get edited, let's say. There are additions, there are deletions, and the epigenetic effect also. So all these effects land up in causing infertility. So in fact, in the male, if we've seen, the sperm count has really dropped. And how do we calculate the effect of pollution is how the birth rate has dropped. And in the males, there is again a genetic DNA fragmentation which we see in the man. We see abnormal sperm parameters. All these actually lead to infertility. And believe me, I'm seeing young girls who are like 28, 29 years old with absolutely low eggs, like a 50-year-old girl. And this is all the effect, not all of it. Of course, there's some genetics, there are some familial things. But stress and pollution really is, I'm seeing a lot of them. In fact, in my practice, 1/3 of the young girls come with an ovary which is aged prematurely. So I think these are some of the things that we're seeing. There was something which I really wanted to discuss, was a meta-analysis of nearly 7,000 women, where he studied Legro in 2000. It's a very old study, 2010, but beautifully studied. And, he actually assessed the effect of pollution on how we remove the eggs. We give those 15 days of stimulation to the patient to produce eggs. Then we remove the eggs out of the body. Then it's in the laboratory. It becomes a baby, an embryo, 5-day-old. Then we put it in the body. And 15 days later, we find out whether she's pregnant and all. And then the pregnancy. And what he actually demonstrated was that all the things are affected by this. And in fact, the exposure more is very important in those 15 days after, we put the embryo in. So once the woman conceives, she doesn't even know she's pregnant. So that is the scary part, because we are all behaving. So Chinu, what you said is quality of life. We have to change. We have to teach people that these are some of the things which don't pollute your environment. It's very important that it's available. In fact, in IVF also, our implantation rates are low. We had one anecdotal incident where this lab was near a traffic road where tarring was being done. And that lab, which had a pregnancy rate of 60-70%, dropped to 10% because of the pollution. So I think it affects us in many ways. The other thing that I really wanted to bring about is also pregnancy. In pregnancy, we see a lot of short-term and long-term effects. Like short-term, you'll have preterm births, you'll have low-weight babies. Abortions increase because of pollution also. You see in certain polluted areas, the abortion rate is much, much higher. Then, abnormalities in the children. Like if there is a high NO2 or SO2, they cause cleft lip, cleft palates, which is now, it's not very, robust evidence, but there is evidence. Then coarctation of the aorta, phallostetrology, these are all, devastating, life-threatening conditions which can happen in the child. And the long-term effects is, Barker's hypothesis, all of us know that the fetal origin of, the fetal insult is what leads to adult diseases like diabetes, like blood pressure, all these conditions. So I think that period in which the baby is in the mother's womb is very, very important, and we really need to look at it. And for women, it's not only outdoor pollution, but it's also indoor pollution, because majority of workforce is in the house. And a WHO report which is coming out at the end of this month actually says from 28 billion women has gone to 32 billion women who are exposed to kerosene. So, I mean, we really, it's all about, I feel that America has withdrawn from climate change. That's really wrong. I'm a strong, opposer of that, that you're the big brother. You're the one who has to take a little bit of hit. So that our countries are just developing. So all those things. Then what else did I want to talk about is, in the child especially, just 1 minute more.
No worries. We would really want, because we got kids around, we've got elderly people around. That's something which everyone would be interested also.
See, there's when you're pregnant, why does it affect the children more? I was really amazed to read this. It's very logical, very practical. The exposure is at a very early age. Then second, the baby has physiological immaturity. So, the organs are more prone to damage. So that can happen. And also the life expectancy after damage is long. So that effect keeps on multiplying what you've had, the insult. So I think it's really, really important. And, I attended this conference in Vancouver, Rajiv, where women's health problems were, women's problems, not health, domestic violence, blah, blah, blah. And there were thousands of organizations working all over. So it's in Vancouver, it's held every 4 years. But what it gave me an insight is that we need people like Chino. We need millions of people like Chino. All of us have to become Chino to make a difference. And that little drop everywhere that we do really, really would make a difference. And I'm not going to, the pathways and all those things, I'm not going to mention that. But I think quality of life, indoor air is what is really important from women. I'm talking about women, better ventilation, and I think reduce the cross infections. And I just want to end with
I'll come to the solutions, ma'am, slightly later, because we would want you to summarize your points on that. So, but you raised a very important point that there is a need for advocacy to talk about indoor and outdoor air pollution. Yes. There is also a need to talk about how, the larger impact of policies will really have on indoor and outdoor air pollution. And that is where I would be really delighted to call upon Dr. Dhruv Chaudhary. Sir, as a person wearing two hats, a doctor who looks into not only respiratory COPD diseases, but someone who's also aligned very closely to the policy, very closely to the entire COVID situation, and now grappling between, dovetailing between air pollution and the COVID impact, looking to reduce the kind of health exigencies which are going to impact the society, and also hearing about various political brickbats like we hear on television and radio every day. You're just at the bordering state of Delhi itself. where the chief minister has given a clarion call to each and every one to shut their engines down, and blaming, the neighboring states of Haryana, Punjab, or maybe Uttar Pradesh of the entire, Parali burning, and trying to get away from the millennium or the sustainable development goals, which are really going to make Delhi a capital, and India also bringing on that fulcrum itself. What are your views on this? So we are looking at two views as a person, from a doctor's point of view, and for finally from a policymaker point of view.
Thank you, Rajiv, and thank you, General Bedi, for inviting me. It has been interesting to see the young man speaking about it with the passion, and again, a professional talking about its effect on health, its effect on pediatric and children age group. I think something we need to do it before I start on that. I think we, as a human species, we need to think about our environment as a whole. Air is only one aspect of it. Water, he spoke about it. And we have forgotten that the universe is not only made by human beings. We have environment which have plants, we have other animals, and a concept of one health has to come up if we have to go with the sustainable development goals or millennium goals. I think that is very vital. When we discuss, we forget our surroundings, still we have a pets. It is equally affecting pollution of any kind, each of them. Every day you see the cows being taken to the hospitals with intestinal obstructions, opening up with all the garbage which is being there, though we don't hesitate calling them mata, but we don't look them after. I think it is something to do with our conditioning, and probably, please don't take me wrong, otherwise pollution has become more of a problem or more of a talking point today. It's an epidemical promotion, no doubt about it, but primarily with the people who can think that they can eat 2 meals a day. I think that's very, very important. It has a huge social economic aspect, which we tend to forget. Medical aspect, we are all talking about it. It is something like we are seeing in COVID, is that if you see today, people who are well fed, who are safe in their houses, are far more scared about COVID. A person who can't have 2 meals a day is least bothered for them. The priority is from where are they going to get next meal. I think we need to realize that health has a very huge social and economic impact, and that is where the policy makes a difference. As a doctor, we see the end organ effects, but nevertheless, pollution definitely, we need to look whether it's an air pollution, whether it's a water pollution, it's a noise pollution. And it is becoming now, if you see it, most of the time, it's not that the politician is not aware. Politician is a very smart person. He understands the ground realities. If you talk to them in person, they all want a change. But they're always scared of the majority that if they are going to do it, how will they do it? In that way, probably I look like this, that COVID is a great opportunity. It's a disruptive approach. It is a disruptive thing which has happened, which nobody had imagined. And probably has given enough challenges, but enough opportunities also. Because unless and until you take it as an opportunity, the things will not improve. Now, if you really look at Delhi is a classical case. North India is a classical from where I am there. I'm just on the outskirts of Delhi. You are on the south, I'm on the northwest. You look at it, Delhi ambient air has been so good in the month of May and June. You could see the blue skies. You could also, at that point of time, you could also see the stars back during the night, which as a kid I remember, I've been brought up at Kurukshetra. So seeing it up in the air, staying and going to Punjab and going to other places. Now, what has happened during the last 30 years? Population has exploded. We are all talking about other things, but the major pollutant outdoor, if you really ask me, it has been, these things were there also because of pollution, the numbers have gone up. And suddenly you see the vehicles, 2.5 crore vehicles are there on the Delhi road. Already you have got an air which is fully loaded. Then the additional pressure comes up, it is not able to sustain. So it's very good to deflect the things there. I'm not saying Parali burning is not an issue, but primarily challenge is right there within the city itself because of the huge load of vehicles, the concentrations of vehicles which is there. That is one part. Second is, with economic prosperity in the north, as I was discussing on that, they also, The irrigation things have led to the increase in the areas of the crops which were not there. Today we are seeing that the paddy which was being grown earlier has extended to the middle and the south of Haryana, which never used to be there. It was a dry belt. It's the canal irrigation which has brought this thing. So that itself, because now the farmers have to prepare their land. Earlier nobody used to bother about it, but now as the pressure goes up, and you see they have to prepare their for cultivation. Now with the cold waves coming from the north, pollution levels already there, and the inability of the system to cope with the extra things which are coming up, it breaks the back of the environment, and then everybody starts talking, and the life goes as usual after these 3 months. So I think that I think it's very important for us to realize, unless or until we look at the social economic causes, it's very good to discuss about it. We will not be able to move forward. We can have air purifiers at our homes. We can have air purifiers in the offices. It will be more of it's something like that. We are just trying to, if somebody has got a tire being punctured, you're just trying to put taking care of that, not more than that. I think it has to come from inside, what we are looking at it. You look at it, does any city of ours today, out of 10, 9 most polluted cities are from this country?
Absolutely.
I'm ashamed of that. I remember flying back from London and what the British Airways pilot said. Now we are entering South Asia and the usual cloud of haze and dust is there. So I think that this is an announcement on the public address system. I don't take pride in it. If London can improve it, why cannot? And trust me, when you talk in terms of health, it has to be one health. And the concept of health is not managing disease. Concept of health is in prevention. We need to use this disruptive technique to put more and more things in preventive aspects, looking at the technologies which are sustainable. Sustainable they will be if we can recharge them, we can put them back. Otherwise, if technology is expensive, it will not be utilized. Only certain elite will be able to use it. So we have to go to our wisdom of old time, see it how we can do it. And I think I would like to put a concept. We talk in terms of sanitation. Now, when you talk in terms of a concept of sanitation, I think air pollution needs to be put in that concept because it is a sanitation of the air. We are talking about the sanitation of the ground. We are today asking about the toilet building. I think equally important for us to see and ensure that the air which we breathe in, which very rightly Chinu said, you don't breathe 3 months, you are dead. That is why we call ourselves Admi. It's an Arabic word. Dam hai to Admi hai. That's why we inhale. When you die in English, you say you expire because expiration is the process. So I think there is a lot of things if we start looking from these. So Dami is coming up. Therefore, I think we have to put it into the sanitation. It is not that the Swachh Bharat concept which has come up. Before that, it was Nirmal Bharat. So I think it is wrong. It has been rechristened as Swachh Bharat, probably far more better it. But if you really look at WHO's if you see it, not only WHO, but basically UNO's, United Nations Sustainable Millennium Development Goal. One of them is one of the major goal. 2 goals is regarding the pollution, environment, and second is about the health, and they're interrelated. Somewhere we have to realize it that the concept for human health has to go to one health. Unless or until we do that concept change, because if environment is health is too serious a business to be left to the doctors. I don't know my colleague will agree with me or not, because health is not only disease aspect, it's a preventive aspect, it's a public health aspect, it has got an environmental engineering aspect, it is an environmental aspect. So it's a multiplicity and veterinarian aspect, zoological aspect, botanical aspect. So I think we need to work it together, find out, because what is true in Delhi may not be relevant in Patna. What is relevant in Patna may not be. So you may have a broader platform as a turn of policy, and then you customize it as per the need and requirement which is there. And I think the time has come where we can use as a medical professional, as an advocacy, like people are scared of COVID. You start bombarding every day what pollution has done to you, people probably may listen to you. And one of the biggest guzzlers of energy today, and the petrol products or the gasoline product, the carbon fingerprint you call it, actually are the cities, not the villages, and the industry. So I think that's where we need to look at it from the policy perspective. Policies are there, advocacy is coming up, implementation becomes a problem. And
So, as a
again,
doctor, sir, as a doctor, I mean, you might have looked at so many patients. I mean, I saw a diagram which you had showed yesterday itself. You know, there were lungs from Himachal and there are lungs from Delhi. The lungs from Delhi seem to be like smoke burnt.
that's
So,
true. That's true. That's true. Because my friend, it's like in Delhi air, what you are having practically 20 cigarettes a day. That's how it is. And
wow.
my great friend, Dr. Arvind Kumar, who is looking the clean air initiative
Yes,
in Delhi, is in Gangaram Hospital, is a thoracic surgeon. He was a late All India Institute of Medical, very passionate about it. You look at it, what has happened. They did it in the Gangaram Hospital. They put a white sheet, uh, and after one day, it was all black. Therefore, these are the real problems which is there, and people have to realize it. But again, I am saying it: your day-to-day survival takes over. People realizing it, this thing, and that is where we have to look at it at the grassroots level. We can be a policymaker, we can be a vehicle of change, but end of the day, like for the Parali problem, I'm telling, till we do not understand the problems of the farmers, whatever the policies you may make are bound to fail. Therefore, policy has to be practical, pragmatic, and implementable. I think that is very important. And health effect is the one, and it is increasing not only your infectious diseases, it is also in a large number of non-communicable diseases. What she talked about was only one aspect of a thing in terms of your abortions, premature births, but you are seeing a lot of people dying with lung cancer, a lot of people having a coronary artery disease, heart attacks, brain strokes, and then cancers at other places coming up. So all that, it's a multiplicity of things which are happening. And now it is becoming a vehicle for the transmission of COVID. And it is expected that in the coming days, if continues, Delhi per day may have more than 8,000 cases a day, which already we are crossing 6,000 now. So we do expect it. And the Diwali again probably will add to it.
Absolutely. So thanks a lot, Dr. Dhruv. I mean, we have now a situation where we're really calling it a double whammy on a pandemic. We looked at you talked about a very good concept of One Health. You talked about how COVID is going to be a great opportunity for a disruptive approach, for an innovative approach.
Absolutely.
That's where I would now want to bring in Mr. Kamlesh Kaul. So Kamlesh, you heard Dr. Dhruv Chaudhary talked about it. You heard him talk about sustainable technologies which are required. I would say why only citizens, why only doctors, or why only people who are designated COVID people or COVID policy makers stand up to it? Why can't the corporate world look at a new PPP model? And I would not call it a new PPP model in terms of a public-private partnership, but I would call it a PPP model calling for a purpose for public service. So would you want to talk about how you as a corporate, how you as someone who is going to be aligned to the entire fulcrum of stakeholders, going to talk about the air pollution, the solution, and also being a partner to this whole initiative?
Yes, I would like to emphasize more on solution part, but before that, I would like you to know some factors that are related to air pollution. So let me cover them one by one.
Absolutely.
As my fellow speakers have already given very good insight about the causes and the impact of air pollution and the coronavirus, and a few of them are on the screen. As Dr. Dhruv rightly said, the air which we are breathing in NCR is equivalent to smoking 20 plus cigarettes per day. So you can imagine what kind of health impact we are going to face in coming years. I don't know how many of us know that the major pollutants in air are PM 2.5 and PM 10, as
Yes.
they are very harmful for our health, and the size of these particles are so small even we can't see them from our naked eye. Well, you can compare it with the human hair. The size of human hair is around 50 to 70 micron. That means the size of PM 2.5 is almost 20 to 30 times lesser than the human hair. And these particles can travel deeply in the respiratory tract and impact our health, and causes great health risks such as asthma, attacks, and so on. From this figure, you can see what range of AQI level is good for us. Basically, the AQI level is measured based on 6 common air pollutants present in the environment, and these are ground level ozone, particle pollutions, PM 2.5 and 10, carbon monoxide and sulfur dioxide, and I think nitrogen dioxide. Among them, PM 2.5 is highly detrimental to our health. Well, we all know there are 2 types of pollution, outdoor and indoor. And primary source of outdoor pollution are like burning of fossil fuels by industrial plants, stubble burning, and these releases various toxic gases and pollutants which are very dangerous for our health. We usually think about air pollution is only outside, but the air is equally polluted at indoor also. Source of indoor pollution includes mold, pollens, tobacco, smoke, pesticides, carbon monoxide, plus even the pollution from outsource is also part of that. So the level of pollution in the indoor is equally high. Let's come to the solution part. Government has taken many measures to reduce the pollution, and one of them is implementing BS6 norms in automobile segment. With BS6, obviously, with BS6 implementation, the vehicles manufactured under this norm will create less pollution. So, Elofic, being in the filtration business from last 7 decades, offers various advanced filtration solution in oil, air, fuel to its OEMs, which helps them to achieve emission norms, and moving completely to electrical is also not going to resolve pollution issues, because while manufacturing, or you can say of batteries or disposal of batteries, a lot of pollution is going to generate. So we need to emphasize more on hybrid or biofuel for that matter. First of all, one should ensure that he's not carrier of any virus, and the first protection comes to our mind is to use mask. But unfortunately, most of the masks which are available currently are not that effective, as it can't really protect us from pollution or viruses, because most of the masks are having significantly less efficiency and sealability issues. And also, these are not as per the WHO standard. Mask should contain at least 3 layers, with the middle layer should be around, you can say 10 microns or less than 10 microns, and it should have an efficiency level of 95% at 0.3 microns. Or you can say N95 mask, but without wall. Because if you are going to use a mask with wall, in one way you are protecting yourself, but at the same time you are infecting other person, because it allows droplet to go out of the mask and putting those around at risk. You can see in these 3 simulations how mask can protect us or others from being infected. First picture indicates while using no mask, both the persons are at high risk, and in the second picture, one uses his hand while sneezing, but still, viruses, particles will reach to another person sooner or later. And in the third picture, you can see the person wears the mask, but still, due to improper sealing near nose, droplets go out from that specific portion. So it is important that we should wear the mask with proper sealing. Wearing a mask only will never provide complete protection. In my previous slide, as I mentioned, how sealing near nose is important. Hence, another and better solution is to use nasal mask that can protect you from pollution and viruses both. 70% of breathing is done by nose. That may go up to, you can say, 100%. Therefore, we should make sure whenever we breathe it through nose. Elofic has recently developed nasal filter in collaboration with Sri Vishwakarma Skill University that can protect us from any viruses, bacteria, and even air pollution also. At present, it is in the field trial. We have a technology that deactivates virus, bacteria, and also retains small dust particles. The limitation of one product gives the innovation and results in the next capable workable product. To capture PM2.5 particles, dust, mold, dander, even toxic gases, use of air purifier is very useful. In air purifier, the most vital part is the filter element and the filtration technologies which are being used. Therefore, it is essential while we choose any air purifier, we should know about the construction, technologies, efficiency, dust holding capacity of element, manufacturing capabilities of that particular brand, availability of the filter element, which should be easily, because right now most of the air purifiers which are in India are not being manufactured in India. They are used to import from various countries like China and all those. And also the most important is the expertise in the field of filtration of that particular brand, because as I said, the main part of air purifier is the filtration. So it should be the person or the brand should have enough expertise in that field. While the element, as I said, which is the heart of the air purifiers, should be supported by a robust frame or structure to avoid any leakage. If you see these two elements, one with the 4 layers supported by the plastic, this plastic frame, and another one with a single HEPA supported by the paper frame and activated carbon filter element in honeycomb shape, the effectiveness of both filters are very different in long term. The filter element with plastic frame always provides clean air without any leakage till its life is over. Whereas the performance of another filter element with paper or cardboard, you can see, frame started deteriorating, because once the filter starts choking, the element will start deforming because it doesn't have enough strength to hold that pressure, and the unfiltered air will pass through the sealing area easily. Also, in this, you can see the activated carbon filter in honeycomb shape is not that effective. Reason being, once the filter is fitted in vertical condition, almost 30 to 50% space remains open, from which the toxic gases can pass through easily, which in fact reduces the effectiveness of the filter. The main purpose of using activated carbon is to absorb toxic gases, and it is only possible if the gases will come in contact with the carbon granules, which in this case is not happening. So preferred filter should be made of multi-layer media with HEPA, activated carbon granules, with supported by other media layers, and obviously the robust frame made of plastic. Also, it has been observed that the total filtration area in honeycomb type of filter is very less as compared to plastic or multi-layer medias. Even I can say in 40%, which means overall life is going to go down accordingly. Well, if we talk about the COVID-19 virus, so let me tell you, the available air purifiers have its limitation, as it can't kill viruses, bacteria, and to mitigate that, we need special media and combination of different filtration technologies. Recently, Elofic has developed one more air purifier in collaboration with one of our German partner in the name of HEPA that is very effective to kill bacteria and viruses, and even has the efficiency of deactivating viruses and bacteria about 99.99. That is, I think, very high. The media we are using in it is H14 grade with special antiviral coating. Global patent has also been filed against this technology. While traveling, while driving cars during summer, most of us recirculate the air to avoid cooling loss. But in winter, most of us direct it to get the air from outside, which is very harmful because, you are accumulating dust particles and gases in the cabin chamber. So therefore, to avoid these pollutants to get in your car, you need to use N95 cabin filters and air purifiers and keep your window glasses closed. Though we have covered pollution sources and remedies for indoor, outdoor, and in personal passenger vehicles, but at public places and populous places, we need advanced technology to provide clean air in these particular places. Elofic, in collaboration with IIT Jammu and Sri Vishwakarma University, has developed Clean Air Tower that has the capacity to provide clean air from 5,000 to 8,000 persons per day. We all are working closely to see how effective we can make it. We have considered various factors like NVH, noise level while running in the running condition, flow rate, aesthetic, efficiency, and obviously overall annual maintenance while designing it. Elofic has collaborated with world's best research universities organization to carry out state-of-art research in the field of filtration and purification. It is worth mentioning that during the last 4 years, Elofic has filed more than 21 patents in the field of filtration. Definitely Mother Nature has bestowed us with great things, and one of them is our plants. And these plants can purify the air, but they have their limitations and pros and cons. These plants are capable of producing enough oxygen to breathe normally and has the ability to remove toxic. However, they can't purify 2.5 particles. For that, we need air purifiers. Prevention is better than cure. Until we will not get a stable solution for clean air, we should take essential or adopt all these alternative options to live safe, as we can't rely only one of them, as each of them has its limitation. Like for home and offices, we should use air purifiers and need to keep the doors and windows closed for more efficiency. And once all the doors are closed, obviously the oxygen level is going to decrease and carbon dioxide level is going to increase. So it is recommended to use air purifiers with indoor plants that are rich in oxygen generation. Outdoor, as it is recommended to use masks with proper sealing, or if you are not sure about the quality of the mask, then it is better to use nasal filters. Although it is impractical to wear the mask and the nasal filter throughout the day, as you know, it may be uneasy, but we don't have any options in that case. While traveling, it is recommended to use N95 cabin filters with air purifiers and keep your window glasses closed. At public places like hospitals, mall, hotels, school, marriage venue, religious places, airport, railway station, it is recommended to use clean air towers. To promote greenery and clean air, public should avoid to generate pollutions in any means. At Elofic, we believe in giving back to the Mother Nature, and we pledge to plant a sapling against each air purifier sold. At the end, I would like to say, till we don't get a permanent solution for air pollution, we must adopt these alternative options for being safe.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Thank you for your very enlightening slides. I mean, I think with the kind of mix solutions you've given, whether it is engineered solutions or natural solutions, people can really look forward to at least cleaning the indoor ambient air pollution, their workplaces, the malls, etc. So let me get back to each one of the speakers now. We talked about how air pollution is going to be a perennial problem, whether it's through the kind of vehicular emissions we have, the agriculture, which Dhruv sir alluded to, the various other impacts which Dr. Nandita mentioned about. But this shows, ये हर साल आता है, ये हमारे पास रहेगा ही रहेगा. What are at least 3 areas which you as experts from your point of view want to recommend to the general populace, or maybe stakeholders, or maybe policy makers, which can really make something workable? We are looking forward to Millennium Development Goals. We are looking forward to now having smart cities. How can you look at this from your own perspective? Chinu, I'll come to you first. 3 points quick 15 seconds to 20 seconds per point. Tinu, you're muted.
Yeah, so sorry. So basically, Corona has made us learn a lot. When you understand about environment and when humans are caged inside their home. So environment is breathing. So kahin na kahin connection is we human who are spoiling the environment, the whole environment, as Dr. Dhruv have already mentioned. Here, according to my experience since last 3 years, I wish to tell that electric vehicles, which were really giving the boost, there should be subsidiary and the financial aid through the government side. Not actually the aid, but the loans facilities, the banking facilities should start giving loans towards the electric vehicles so that many people, I want to buy, but I cannot afford electric vehicle right now because I don't have so much money with me. So that is one point which is very much necessary. The corporates, government should ask and allow NGOs to start multiple projects and genuine projects, on ground projects to curb this pollution level, as well as the corporates should come up more aggressively to support such projects and NGOs. Since last 3 years, there's zero support from a corporate during the beach cleanups. I have done more than 500 cleanups in Mumbai, but no support for any of the things which is happening. So a lot of knowledge need to be given to people to get the support and give the support. So it is both hand in hand, I suppose. Lastly, again, I would say declare it as a climate emergency. Start doing something aggressively so that we can live more few years. I want to live more 5 years. I don't want to die so early. But the situation is so bad, and we have understood the pain of wearing masks in the public. We have understood when there is lack of oxygen, especially when you're wearing spectacles and mask and everything, you cannot see. So why we need to go in that particular era where mask, oxygen cylinders are so compulsory in our life?
Dr. Nandita, I mean, apart from, asking you 3 points, I have two questions which came from our audiences, which looked out, on the fact that does air pollution impact pregnant women, astotic child due to the impact of air pollution? You already talked about it, but yes, there is an impact.
Yeah, there is an impact. As I mentioned, obstetric complications like preterm labor, low birth weight, abortions increase, and even the fetal origin of adult disease. So unless the pregnancy, it has an effect in such a way that it causes PIH, pregnancy-induced hypertension. So indirect ways are also there because of the pollution. And
3 points quickly, 3 points, 15 seconds.
In women's health, we've noticed that if you educate the mother, the family gets educated. Okay, it's always been said. So I think here the education advocacy has to be to the younger generation. The children in school, they have to be taught. Like Chinu is very responsible. Our generation, we were never talked about pollution. But Chinu's generation, like my daughter-in-law just came, she said, oh, I know Chinu. He's the beach cleaning guy. So I think that education is very, very, very important. The second thing which Chinu has also mentioned is incentive to use. We have politically, like if you have less than 2 children, you can be a political, you can enter politics, you can do these things. So I think that incentive in small ways, like as I told you, Modi ji and his gas, kerosene should be stopped. You have to think of simple things which will impact everyday actions of people, which will help in reducing. And my basic thing is control the source of pollution. So we really need to, it's multiple things. Like companies are given advantages if they go green. Like what he talked about, the cars, if they can reduce the cost of the cars, the vehicular. So maybe, Dr. Dhruv really mentioned it beautifully. Identify the major sources, work on those at a policy level, and the small sources which can be controlled, which Kamlesh was talking about in the house, in the environment. So this education needs to be parted. That's what I feel, and the woman is the best course. So take us gynecologists into the fold. We are doing so many advocacies. We can add this to our bouquet also.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Dhruv, I mean, as a policy measures have been in isolation, there's been, enough which every government has been taking in steps and initiatives. You talked about how smart cities need to be more smarter about it. Three solutions which you could give, sir.
You see, we have to look in terms of short term, intermediate, and long term because there is not going to be any easy answers to it.
Absolutely.
Most important, which we have been all talking about, somewhere it is very easy. Most important is to change the behavior of the people. That's the most difficult thing. I think probably somewhere we can take the accounts of the numbers there. And if we tell people that they have this intense education programs, like has been doing for the COVID, so that at least it modifies some amount of behavior change. It may not be easy, but some aggressive effort is there rather than pinning a blame on A or B or C. One. Secondly, we need to strengthen our public transport system. We really look at it. Large component which is coming up of the air pollution primarily is from the vehicular pollution. So clean fuel, green fuel is required. Third, he has talked about electrical vehicle. They will solve your problem for 15 years. What about taking care of their batteries later on? I think so. We need to look at a futuristic view also. It's very easy to look at it. We are living in the world. So when we are taking, we have to see how will we dispose of. Electronic waste is becoming another huge, huge issue. How will we handle it? So I think we need to have, when we are going with the new things, we create new problems. And we need to have those things. Additionally, as Dr. Nandita said, I think catch them young. It takes a long-term thing. Tell the children, right? It is there. I was very pleased to read that news that in Karnataka recently somebody threw a banana peel outside and they were forced to go 80 kilometers back to do it. It is that sort of thing which we have to do. Somewhere you have to use the rod or spare the rod and spoil the child. Similarly, somewhere on certain issues you have to be extremely strict. Why nobody does it in Singapore? Because we are extremely indisciplined people. I think that is very important. I think, and as far as the agriculture is concerned, which is becoming a big problem, especially in the north, we need to sit with the farmers, find out what their problem is. Because I come from the background of the farming. I can tell you today farming is non-sustainable. It's practically non-sustainable. Whatever the policies, I earn money from my salary, which is I'm far time better. A person having 20 acres of land probably may not be. Therefore, you need to find out the solutions in terms of it, and air pollution needs to be put into with other aspects of it, not simply air pollution. You look at it, how disruptive is the underground pollution with pesticides, organicides. You see, we are seeing it coming in the mother's milk. So I think we have to have a comprehensive approach where we take in terms of it, and industry needs to be, carrot and stick has to be there. The moment carrot is there, incentivization as an administrator, I have realized, I hope General Bedi will agree with me if I am certain he's listening. After some time, incentivization taken as a part of the deal.
Absolutely.
I think somewhere it is, they feel that it's their right, which actually is not. So somewhere with incentivization, responsibility, accountability has to come up. Now, in general, if you ask me three things I would like to do, school education curriculum, which is extremely important. I think for me, that is the key. There, I would like to catch them young. Two, I will try to make like Chandigarh. Now we have got cycle tracks and other things promoted. Trust me, in a small city like Rohtak, we have cycle clubs during this lockdown. Now more than 6,000 people are part of it and everybody was started using the cycles. I think somewhere we have to make that behavioral change that if you have to go up to 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers instead of car, instead of vehicle, please use these fuels which are there. The answer is that you need to make cycle tracks, which is not a big thing. And I think these are very small things, which if the initiative starts coming up, and I think probably people may not like what I'm saying. Those who are spreading it up, they should be shamed. People are scared only of social ostracization. Yes. Somewhere that moment has to start, which hits them. Only then they will change it, not otherwise other life will be as usual. If somebody has thrown it in the...
Very well taken point, sir. Carrot and stick approach, name and shame, We need behavior change, catch them young. Kamlesh, from a corporate point of view, what could be your partnership for a public purpose? What could be your 3 points? Quick.
First, every industry should focus and prepare a roadmap how to move towards green manufacturing processes like implementation of solar, water harvesting, and so on. Second, like at Elofic, our prime focus is to innovate various products that helps to create sustainable and clean environments. Similarly, other organizations should focus on something like on these grounds. Third, plant trees as much as you can. Like Elofic has pledged to plant a sapling against each air purifier source. So I think from our side, these three would be the action points from industry point of view.
Thank you very much, Kamlesh. Thank you. We're completely
Industry has to come up forward.
sorry, sir. You can just take 10 seconds.
I'm saying it that the industry has to come out, and they need to wait right in the beginning. We need to put focus on green buildings. We need to focus on green transport. Whatever it is, it etches on your mind. Now everybody starts looking at that, and then it should move.
Great. Thank you, sir. I mean, I think these were some excellent points. We looked at the entire gamut of things. We looked at how air purifiers are likely to affect the whole immunity of a building, of a place. We looked at even how Crusaders like Chinu would really want to educate and catch them young. Dr. Nandita looked at the part where even females need to be really educated about the fact that indoor air pollution is something which they are going to grapple with. Sir, Dr. Dhruv, you talked about an entire gamut of behavior change, a carrot and stick approach which is required, the entire thing of name and shame. I think we have now a real-time agenda with us, and with this entire platform, I would like to thank everyone. We look forward to a more cleaner and a greener world. We look forward to a world which is disease-free, which is where we do not have NCDs hovering on us, where where the pandemic may not even impact the entire mental stability. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for their views.
My pleasure.
The audience would have really got themselves enlightened with these points. We look forward to some terrific innovative solutions which Kamlesh.
Rajiv, I want to just say two things. It starts from home first. And secondly, like in education, you say you teach a lady, you educate a lady in a home, the whole family is educated. I think that's again the second thing. You teach a lady, they know much more about conservation and other than the men. I think that's important.
ये बात आपने साबित कर दी है, चाहे वो धरती माँ है, चाहे वो हमारी अपने पर्यावरण है. Everything is something which is really coming up to the Janam aspect. So thank you very much, everyone. I look forward to all of you interacting at various seminars, and I think today has been a really, really important day where we talked about various things. I think the entire audience would have also got enlightened. We've got some really tangible and intangible solutions which are still lying ahead, and let's pray that this COVID does not make it more worse and make it more murkier as we have the air outside. Thank you, and thank you everyone once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.